dear students, and welcome to your second video in our domain course 1, which focuses on website or web design and development. In today's video, we will be looking at a very basic HTML template, and later on have a short demonstration of the use of the most common elements in a web page. So for this video, we will be looking at the general structure of an HTML5 document, which produces a basic web page. We will also try out some of the most common HTML elements for producing basic web pages without any styling. Let's get to it. So here is the very common HTML template that we will start with in every HTML page, web page. Now you don't have to memorize this code because we will be using VS Code, Visual Studio Code Editor from Microsoft. And if you have properly installed the plugins that allow for HTML editing, then all you have to do is type in an exclamation point and press tab, and this will the VS Code will automatically write this template for you. This is exactly how it is going to come out later on. But in this video, right now we are going to take a look at each element in this template, what they are for, and what is their role for these elements. As you can see, elements in HTML is enclosed in angle brackets. So let's take a look at them one by one. First of all, the doc type. All HTML document must start with a doc type declaration. The declaration is not an HTML tag. As you can see, right after the opening angle bracket, there is an exclamation point that separates it from other normal HTML tags. So this is not an HTML tag. It is an information to the browser about what type of document to expect. Now, this is because the browser can expect a number of other files besides HTML. For example, CSS files, or XML files, or JSON files. By the way, JSON files, these are type of data transfer format for the web, and many other file types that a browser can expect. That is why for our HTML documents, we have to declare that this is an HTML document. And that is what this doc type is all about. Next is the HTML tag, or the HTML element. Right now it has an attribute. That lang is an attribute. This is how you write an attribute to an element. So this example is an HTML tag with a lang attribute. The lang attribute is en, meaning it is the language. English is represented by the en. So this HTML tag signals the starting point of the HTML document. Like most HTML elements, this HTML tag consists of an opening, which is this one in line number 2, and a closing tag in line number 14. This indicates that this area here in between the opening and the closing HTML tag is the content of this particular HTML tag. This is how HTML elements are usually structured, wherein the elements enclosed within the opening and closing tags of another element are the contents of that enclosing element, which means that this head tag and body tag are both members of the HTML element. Okay. Moving on, the head tag, which again is a member of the HTML tag or element. By the way, I will be using tag and element interchangeably. They just mean the same thing. The head element is a container for metadata. Metadata is data about data. and it is placed within the HTML tag and before the body tag. To have a clearer understanding of what a metadata is, let's consider this whole web page, this file here, as a data. Therefore, the metadata or the data about the data are the set of data about or describing this particular web page, the data about this web page. Here, the content of the head element are 3 elements, 2 meta elements and 1 title element. Here, the 2 meta elements are not in pair. As you can see, some elements are like this. When element do not enclose anything, then there is no need for the opening and closing tags. The meta elements here describe some data about this web page. The first meta element states that this web page uses UTF-8 character set. The second meta element states that this web page abides its width to the width of the displaying this device, and its initial scale or zooming is at 100%. Finally, the title element states the title of this web page. This is the actual title that is shown at the browser's tab for this particular web page. And then finally, the body tag or the body element. This is where we code all the actual contents of the web page. Elements coded within this element are the ones that is shown on the browser's viewing area. The body element will contain other elements that can be categorized as number 1, layout elements. Number 2, it can be data or content elements. And number 3, it can be inline styles and other scripts. Now, let's try the following elements in a demonstration coding. First, we'll be trying out some layout elements, div, header, footer, some content elements, H1, which is for heading, P is for paragraph, strong is to make a text stronger or bold, I is to italize a text, U is to underline, sub is for subscript, sup is for superscript, and we will also have some listing elements, UL for unordered list, and OL for ordered list, and the LI is the tag element representing the list item. So here we are in our Visual Studio Code editor, and I have here a new file called template.html with the blank content. Make sure that your language over here is HTML. If it's not HTML for some reason, then you click on that and then look for the HTML on the list so that Visual Studio Code will behave as if you are actually writing HTML file, and with that it will give you some hints as well as some help in terms of Emmet code generation based on the HTML rules. So here, since it is now in HTML mode, I can just type an exclamation point, and you can see it now recognizes an Emmet abbreviation, and if you press enter, you can immediately see that we have a boilerplate code for HTML, which is exactly the same as what I have shown you in the slides. From here, we'll just change our title, sample web page. Okay, so we'll start with some container elements. We have a container element called header. We also have a container element called div, and another container element called footer. Now all these three are container elements. They behave the same way. They act the same way. They can be treated the same way. So why are they having different names if they are actually basically the same? This is done in HTML5 so that your code, your HTML code will be more readable. Because here, although a header is a container that behaves the same as a div, that behaves the same as a footer, but because it's named header, the programmer or the coder can immediately understand that this particular container is for the header and not for something else, as well as for the footer. So here, div is a general kind of container. It can represent containing anything, any content. But header, of course, you can still use header to contain other things other than headers, but it will defeat the purpose of having the header name. So that's just it. The reason why it's called header is because so that it will be more readable, or the semantic of your code is correct. So in the header, we'll just put here a heading. So heading is H1. There are many types of heading. You can have heading H1, H2, H3, H4, and as the number grows, the heading becomes smaller and smaller as well by default. So let's have heading 1, sample web page, and let's take a look at the output. Save that, and in the output, so there's a sample web page. Now, in our div, let's have some contents. First, let's have a paragraph. P is for paragraph, and let's write some boilerplate text. You can just type lorem for this, and now it will just type that. Lorem 10. Oh, it's not going to do that. No, I forgot how to generate lorem code with different number of contents. So anyway, that's how your paragraph is gonna look like. Now, within text, you can have inline tags or elements. For example, you can have an element to make text bold using the strong element. So you have strong element. All you have to do is enclose a text within a strong element, like that. And what happens is that text becomes bold. Another one is the I element. So you have the I element for italic. So you just enclose these two words within the I element, and the two words becomes italic, as you can see there. Another is the U for underline. Let's underline this one. So, U. So now the second lorem ipsum phrase is being underlined. Now there are other inline tags. So let's have another paragraph here. For example, superscript. If you need to write some superscript, for example, in an algebra equation, for example, x cubed plus x squared minus y equals 0. So this is an equation. Supposedly, it should output the 3 and the 2 as a superscript because it's supposedly the exponent of x. So here, all you have to do is enclose 3 and 2 with the sup tag, SUP, for superscript. So same thing here. And with that, we'll now have a superscript. 3 and 2 are now exponents. On the other hand, there's also the subscript. Let's add another paragraph. For example, if you're writing something with a subscript, elements, chemical elements, H2O and O3 for the O3 is 3 parts oxygen, which is actually the chemical element of the ozone layer, for those who do not know. So all you have to do is enclose it with sub element or tag, like so. Add a sub tag here. And now we have H2O and O3. Both 2 and 3 are subscript. Another one is have listings. For list, we have two types of elements for listing, the UL or unordered list and the OL or ordered list. Let's start with the unordered list. Both UL and OL will contain LI. LI stands for list item. So here we are saying that we have an unordered list and we have one item. This item is probably, let's say this is a, let's put this inside a paragraph first. UL and then LI. Let's say this is a list of ingredients. So we have here vinegar. Another ingredient would be water. Another would be cornstarch. And probably pepper. I don't know what's cooking. So we have that, and this is the result. We have our list, unordered list. By the way, we are using here the disk bullet points, but you can change our bullet points by adding an attribute into our UL tag. Attribute, that would be the type attribute. For example, if you do square in here, and so your bullet points will be square. There's also the circle, and you'll have a bullet points that looks like that. The default was the disk. This will have something like that. Okay? Of course, later on when we will have CSS, we can put more bullet types in there. Another listing is the OL or ordered list. Still with an LI, list item. For example, let's have a list of students. We'll have Mary Jane Franco. I don't know these people, just making them up. Okay, Jean Marie Pulisius. So with an ordered list, it's going to result in a list with numbering. Also, just like in an unordered list where we can change the bullet points, in the ordered list, we can also change the ordering numbers. So here we're just using Arabic numbers. You can also use, still with the type attribute, you can also use Roman numerals. Capital I would change this to Roman numerals, or small I, still Roman numerals but small letters. Aside from that, you can also use the letter A for alphabetic ordering, ABCD, or capital A for capital alphabets. All right. So here we have our web page, which looks hideous because we're not doing any styling, just the basic bare layout, our structure and contents of our web page. So that will be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.